as I pulled up, I saw that he was lying on the ground. And my first thought was that he'd had a heart attack. You know, he was just lying there. And I knew that my dad was in heaven.
3 lives taken too soon, a grandfather and his grandson.
I know that my dad would have given anything if it could have just been him.
A loving wife and mother.
She was just a very kind and compassionate and loving person, and that's how I knew her.
Now a community leans on its faith.
What we do have is each other, and we have love, and we have prayer.
Authorities confirmed the 3 murders yesterday at Jewish properties in Overland Park were hate crimes.
But the family of 2 of the victims say they are focusing on the love they shared with 14-year-old Reed Underwood and his 69-year-old grandfather, Dr. William LeCorporan.
Peggy Bright joins the family at their news conference today, and she joins us live. Peggy?
Well, Len, this family, their loved ones were the victims who were gunned down right back here in this parking lot. The family says tonight they believe Reed and his grandfather were just getting out of the grandfather's truck for Reed's singing contest. Today, Reed's mother talked about kissing her son and telling him she loved him just before Reed and her dad left home. Mindy Lawson says she pulled up at the Jewish Community Center within moments of the shooting. She saw her father lying on the ground and her son with people hovering around him. Mindy says her faith is sustaining her, and she doesn't blame God for what happened.
You know, it was a horrible act of violence, and my dad, our dad, and my son were at the wrong place at the wrong time for a split second.
It takes no character to do what was done. It takes no strength of character. It takes no backbone. It takes no morals. It takes no ethics. All it takes is an idiot with a gun.
Dr. Corcoran was a busy family practice doctor and Reed a freshman at Blue Valley High School. We're live in Overland Park. Peggy Bright, KMBC 9 News.
The family says they are comforted in knowing that Reed and his grandfather went to heaven together. They say they don't understand why bad things happen to good people.
Hundreds of Reed's classmates turning to social media for support. Tomorrow, to honor him, Blue Valley students plan to wear white. Other school districts are reaching out as well. The Shawnee Mission West Pep Club made this banner for Blue Valley. Students there will sign it to show their support for Reed.
We continue to learn more about the 3rd victim, 52-year-old Terry Lamano from Kansas City. A wife and parent, Lamano was visiting her mother at Village Shalom Retirement Center when she was shot and killed. KMBC 9's Scott McDonald spoke with Lamano's co-workers today at the Children's Center for the Visually Impaired.
Gifted at her job and the ultimate employee. Just a few words used to describe Terry Lamano. She made her way past these crayons into work every day at the Children's Center for the Visually Impaired in Kansas City. She worked as an occupational therapist, working one-on-one with toddlers, improving their fine motor skills and eye-hand coordination. Employees say she had the most positive of attitudes. She's deeply missed. The hallway's a lot quieter now that she's gone.
Terry was just extraordinarily gifted therapist. She had such a calm demeanor, and she had this great voice. It's very soothing, and I loved it when Terry would speak in all staff meetings because she was just she's just this very calming presence.
Lamano worked here for about 8 years. I spoke with those close to her 3 kids and her husband in pain and struggling today. As we learned that those targeted may have been because of their faith, it seems faith could be what's holding these folks together. Lamano was a Catholic, a member of St. Peter's Parish, a community and a congregation that has rallied around those who knew her. Reporting in Kansas City, Scott McDonald, KMBC 9 News.
CCVI is working with Children's Mercy Hospital to make sure kids who knew and worked with Terry get the support they need in dealing with her death. Early this morning, a rosary service was held for Terry at St. Peter's Catholic Church on Holmes and Brookside. Church members remember Lamano as a devoted wife and mother and a longtime member of the church.
Our community of St. Peter's always wraps their arms around those who suffer in these kind of tragedies. We are also, of course, mindful of the Jewish community and this terrible tragedy for the other victims.
Lamano leaves behind a husband and 3 adult children.
From first shots fired to capture the suspect, it all took just 20 minutes, but investigators say they have mountains of work left to do on this case. They held a news conference today to update their progress and announce that evidence shows them the shootings were motivated by hate. Overland Park Police and the FBI are jointly investigating the case. Police Chief John Douglas says the public has been a huge help. 911 callers gave police a good description of the suspect's vehicle.
2 of our patrol officers spotted the car, approached the car. He was armed. There were weapons in the car. They told him to surrender, and he did.
The 73-year-old suspect is held tonight in the Johnson County Jail awaiting charges. They could come on the state level, federal level, or both. Authorities have scheduled another news conference for tomorrow morning at 10:30, and we're going to carry it live right here on Channel 9, on KMBC.com, and your mobile device.
The FBI says the range of hate crimes is broad. In addition to what happened yesterday, hate crimes include lynchings, cross burnings, and vandalism. The term hate crime did not enter the nation's vocabulary until the 1980s, when emerging groups like the skinheads launched a wave of bias-related crime. The FBI began investigating what we now call hate crimes as far back as World War I, when the Ku Klux Klan first attracted attention.
There are still so many questions about the gunman in this case. Fraser Glenn Cross is a known white supremacist. In 2006, Cross spoke with former KMBC reporter Dan Weinbaum. In the 80s, Cross led the White Patriot Party in North Carolina, claiming a membership then of 5,000. He also helped put out a newspaper called the Aryan Alternative. Here's part of that 2006 interview with Weinbaum.
We're going to take back our country by whatever means necessary. And I hate you. You're a Jew and I hate you.
Do you advocate violence against Jews?
Advocate? What's your definition of advocate?
Tell people that
I don't lose any sleep by suicide bombers in Tel Aviv, I'll tell you that much.
In 2010, Cross was waging a write-in campaign to replace Missouri Senator Kit Bond. He ran a series of hate-filled campaign commercials on the radio. This afternoon, Dan Weinbaum spoke with KMBC and told us what it was like to interview Cross. Dan says as soon as he introduced himself, Cross asked him if he's Jewish. And even though Dan acknowledged he was, Cross did the interview anyway.
I was kind of surprised. And when he said, yeah, come on down, and a photographer from Channel 9 and I went down to his house. He invited us into the house, and he sat there espousing his views. It felt very strange, because here is this man who hates me just because I'm me. I've never met him, I've never done anything, but he hates me. He does.
Dan now works for Heart to Heart International.
President Barack Obama is speaking out about the shootings this morning at the annual White House Easter prayer breakfast. The president offered his condolences to the victims' families and service to the community.
As a government, we're going to provide whatever assistance is needed to support the investigation. As Americans, we not only need to open our hearts to the families of the victims, we've got to stand united against this kind of terrible violence which has no place in our society.
Across the nation, police are stepping up patrols. Tonight marks the start of Passover, while yesterday, Palm Sunday, marked the start of Holy Week for Christians, leading up to Easter this Sunday. Cities to our west, as well as ones like New York and Boston, announced they'll increase patrols at local temples, synagogues, and churches.
A throwback to winter with a little bit of snow that we had during the first portion of the day. It's anticipated. Here it is on clouds and radar moving out, but so are the clouds. So we're going to see a mostly clear afternoon and evening. Should be pretty nice if you're heading out, but this is the thing to worry about. Wind chills in the 30s, 39 in Excelsior Springs. It feels like 35 in Kansas City. Still feeling like close to 48 down toward Ottawa. But I'm telling you, those winds will definitely start to make things feel a little chillier. High temps today struggling, as we talked about, to get through the 30s to the 40 degrees. 41 in Cameron, 41 was a high in Warrensburg, 41 also down toward Lewisburg. Widening it out and showing you the entire viewing area, these are the temperatures at the present time, all in the lower 40s if you're heading out, but I would take a jacket because it is relatively cool thanks to that breeze. 9 o'clock temperature about 37 with a north wind at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Toward tomorrow, 7 a.m., it'll be a frosty one, at least cold, freezing cold, 27 as winds turn more westerly at around 5 to 10 miles per hour. As far as what you're breathing today on the air, pollen count remains high with ash. Ascospores mold low. Skycast looking green tomorrow. Things do start to heat up a little bit thanks to that sunshine. How warm we get by midweek coming up in just a little bit. Lynn, Laura, back to you.
Right now, your first alert on the roads. A crash is blocking multiple lanes of I-70 eastbound near I-435. You can see looks like 2 lanes, maybe just 1 lane of traffic getting through there. Crews hope to have that area cleared very soon.
One person has died and another injured in a shooting on eastbound I-70 at Interstate 635 this morning. The victims drove themselves to an area hospital just before 4 a.m. One person died at the hospital. The other is being treated for serious injuries right now. Police are investigating whether this morning's shooting started as an argument. And tonight we know police do not believe this morning's deadly shooting is connected to recent highway shootings. Police believe 12 out of the 20 shootings over the past month are connected. They hope linking the cases will help them track down a suspect. 3 people report being injured in the incidents, but there have been other close calls. If you have any information that can help police in their investigation, you are asked to call the TIPS hotline.
Southwest Airlines announces the pilot of a plane that landed at the wrong Missouri airport in January is back flying. Meantime, the plane's co-pilot has retired. The pilots, who each had more than a decade of experience, were put on paid leave in January. Instead of landing at the main airport in Branson, they landed at a smaller one. Federal officials say the pilots told them they mistook the bright runway lights at the smaller airport for the bigger one 7 miles away.
A judge has set a $6 million bail for a Utah woman accused of killing 6 babies she gave birth to over 10 years. Prosecutors say 39-year-old Megan Huntsman is being jailed on 6 counts of murder. Huntsman was arrested yesterday after police found the infants' tiny bodies inside cardboard boxes in the garage of her former home.
Teachers have returned to a Pittsburgh area high school where 21 students and a security guard were wounded in a stabbing rampage 5 days ago. They attended a counseling session this morning. Students will be able to visit the school with their families tomorrow, and classes will resume Wednesday, a week after the attack. 4 students remain hospitalized in critical condition.
The University of Kansas notified students today there's been a confirmed case of tuberculosis on campus. In a statement, KU says the student will recover fully from this condition and will be able to return to class. The university says fewer than 50 individuals may have been exposed, and those people have already been contacted by health officials. An investigation is being conducted to determine if any transmission of TB has occurred.
Tenure for Kansas teachers could be coming to an end. Those close to Governor Sam Brownback says he's certain to resist pressure to veto a proposal ending tenure for public school teachers. The GOP-dominated legislature approved the measure as part of a court-mandated education funding plan. Brownback must act on the bill before April 26th.
Next at 6, she was a top contender in America's biggest beauty pageant, and now a Kansas woman is showing the TV world just how limitless she really is.
New details released in the case of Alden Smith. What the local NFL player's team is saying today after his arrest.
The Jewish Center shootings has had such an impact, not only on the metro, but across the world. And tonight, throughout the show, we'll be sharing your Facebook comments and tweets of support for the victims' families. Crews in Mission Hills are removing ash trees to combat an emerald ash borer infestation. More than 24 ash trees in the city right-of-way along State Line Road were removed. It'll begin replacing the trees with new species in May or early June. While the emerald ash borer has yet to strike in northeast Johnson County, the city says it is not taking any chances.
The San Francisco 49ers speak out for the first time today since Alden Smith's arrest. The Los Angeles police arrested the Raytown local and former Mizzou player at LAX Sunday after he said he had a bomb. Today, 49ers general manager Trent Baalke issued a statement saying, "We are disappointed to learn of the incident today involving Alden Smith, as this is a pending legal matter and we are still gathering the pertinent facts. We will have no further comment." Smith was booked and charged with making a false bomb report, which is punishable by up to 1 year in jail. He posted the $20,000 bail last night. Michael Phelps is coming out of retirement. Some say it's the first step towards swimming at the 2016 Olympics in Rio de Janeiro. The 22-time Olympic medalist will compete for the first time since the London Olympics at a meet in Arizona next week. Phelps returned to training last fall and re-entered the U.S. drug testing program. He turns 29 in June and is the winningest and most decorated athlete in Olympic history.
A former U.S. Army sergeant who became one of America's best-loved beauty queens is now set to host her own hunting show. Teresa Vale became only the second ever Army recruit to take part in the Miss America contest last year when she represented Kansas. But while most competitors go on to get modeling contracts, 23-year-old Miss Vale has signed up to host a show with the Outdoor Channel, and Vale's show, Limitless, is set to air next year.
Good for her.
Good for her, that's right.
She was a big story, remember?
She was a huge story, yes.
We had a big temperature difference. I mean, talk about yesterday and the thunderstorms, or actually the day before, close to 80.
80 degrees,
yeah. And then yesterday, the day of transition, and today, obviously, cold weather and the snow that we were talking about on the backside of this system. Let me show you currently what is happening outside with our current system as far as out at the airport, 43 degrees. So as one area of low pressure moves out, it does look like things are going to be relatively cool. A north wind at 16 miles an hour. It's still pretty dry out there now that the humidity is lowering a little bit. Closer to home from our weather watchers, Dick Kramer and Kearney with 43 degrees, peculiar. 42 coming in from the Brady's down there, 43 degrees. John Homedale, Roland Park, Joyce and Atchison, 43, and also Joan and Oak Grove, 41. Pretty much in line from our reporting stations all across the area. Smithville, you have 43 right now. Liberty, 45. Jackets necessary because it is going to be relatively cool to you, especially for the next few hours as skies continue to clear out. Here's a look at what's happening as far as later on tonight. A freeze warning is out. This stays in effect until 9 in the morning, includes all of our counties. That means that the temperatures will definitely be below freezing, and not only just for a little bit, for a prolonged period of time. But before 9 in the morning, we're talking about, if you are going to head out this evening, a lot of folks want to take a look at the blood moon with an explanation. Meteorologist Dick Bender.
It'll be a good viewing for that tonight. We could see red, we could see orange, some of us could see blue as the Earth gets in between the sun and the moon. This is the first total lunar eclipse of the year. There'll be 2 of them, and that's the key point here. The moon, the Earth, and the sun all on the same plane, so the Earth casting its shadow on the moon. Set your alarm clocks and get the big coat. You'll have to wake up between 2:06 and 3:24. We'll call it 2:45. Sleep in a little bit to get outside to see this. Temperatures 25 to 30 degrees across Kansas and Missouri to see the blood moon, the first total lunar eclipse of 2014. Brian.
One other question for you. You know, we always talk about not seeing an eclipse, not safe. This one's safe for viewing, right? Because it's
perfectly safe. You won't hurt your eyes, but you're going to lose some sleep. I can promise you that one. It'll be worth it. It'll be worth it.
Probably true. Your 7 o'clock temperature falls back to 39 degrees with clearing skies. Later on tonight, towards 7 in the morning, that's when the freezing cold moves in. 27 with crystal clear conditions. But we warm up thanks to some more sunshine than we had today. High temperature about 56 degrees. Here's a look at clouds and radar showing you that the clouds are moving out, the clear skies are moving in. The active weather is still out over the Pacific. A couple of storm systems that you see in the Gulf of Alaska, another little portion of the subtropical jet trying to energize the southern portion of the United States. For us, though, it looks like we're going to be clear at least for the next few days. However, we're going to have to look for a chance of rain coming in by midweek. Once again, we're clearing out. There were a few sprinkles of light rain, and future scans picking up on that. This is at 6:15 this evening. As you see, clear skies. A couple of those light showers try to make it out of Nebraska, but for the most part, we will remain crystal clear. Lots of sunshine heading into tomorrow. And the wind flow turns more to the south and southeast. And so although there's some showers showing up in Illinois, looks like both Kansas and Missouri will be clear. Overnight lows across the entire region, 28 for Belton, 24 for Maryville. Nobody will start their morning off in the 30s, so it's pretty cool. And temperatures still below average for this time of year, 53 in Trenton, 57 degrees down toward Paola. Check out the 7-day forecast, which has temperatures getting up to about 65 and windy on Wednesday, a 60% chance of thunderstorms on Thursday, another chance of some showers early on Friday. Sun comes back out on Saturday. Right now, Sunday, we have a 30% chance of some rain showers coming in for Easter Sunday itself. Sunrise services, you may need that bonnet. Look at the temperature I'm talking about. Fairly cool at about 48 degrees. Sunrise will be at 6:34. Otherwise, we're going for an Easter temperature of about 67 degrees. And then early next week, 50 in the morning, afternoon high of 70. So there's spring. Spring will spring again by a week from tonight. But you certainly wouldn't think about that right now if you're stepping out, which is why you're going to need a couple extra layers. And your eyes were not deceiving you this morning with the snow.
All right. right. Well, the big deadline is tomorrow. What you need to know tonight if you've been putting off filing those taxes. Procrastinators, listen up. If you are owed a tax refund and you don't file by Tuesday, which is tomorrow, you won't get hit with a penalty. This has always been the case, but many people don't realize it. The IRS is anxious to collect payments from those who owe, but it's less concerned about issuing unclaimed refunds. If it turns out that you do owe, you'll pay a fine for filing late.
More and more Americans' personal information is being stolen online. A new Pew report shows 18% of people have had Social Security numbers, credit card, or bank account information stolen. 21% have had accounts compromised, like email or social media. Their survey was done after news broke of Target's massive pre-Christmas data breach.
It's been just 3 months since marijuana was legalized in Colorado, but economists don't think the state will raise as much in taxes as was hoped. About $3.4 million was raised in January and February from special sales taxes on recreational marijuana. Economists had expected to raise nearly $23 million before July. They say fewer people switched from buying medical marijuana to buying recreational marijuana than was first expected.
And right now, a live look at downtown. KMBC 9 News at 6 continues after this. A special Seder to celebrate the beginning of Passover tonight at the scene of a deadly shooting.
How the Jewish community is coming together tonight at 9 on KCWE and on KMBC 9 News at 10.
That's going to do it for us. Thanks for watching.
Log on to KMBC.com, your place on the web for breaking news and weather updates from KMBC 9 News.